Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty. And this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also, it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look in the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. And before we get underway with our latest episode, just a little shout out to these amazing crew at Magic Mind. Magic Mind has been it's a productivity hit in the bottle. I've been using these supplementations now for a number of weeks, and the clarity, the focus, and the performance that I've been getting from these nutrients in a bottle. They've got amazing vitamins, amazing minerals. So they've got a bunch of mushrooms in there as well. It's a great productivity hack that I've been using every single day. So if you want to try it out, head on over to www.magicmind.com/James Short, and you'll be able to get amazing discounts when you subscribe and when you try the product. And at the checkout, simply add in James Short 20 to get your discount. So head on over, Magic Mind, productivity in a bottle. Oh, I love it. Now, on with the show. If you don't know this next guest, you are dead set living under a rock. He is one of the industry's best coaches out there, high performance mindset, motivation, and accountability, coaching for individuals, business owners, and leaders. He is the man I'm honored and privileged to have on the show today, Jet Xavier. Jet, it's an honor and a privilege to get you on today, mate. Thank you so much.
Mate, thanks for this. Like we could have yelled down the road. You're pretty close. So
I know, right? Just down the road. Could have had a coffee over this, I reckon, for sure.
yeah. And it's a beautiful day on the Goldie as well. So I'm sure it's good where you are.
It is, mate. It is. Mate, like, I know your journey. You've had an colorful, we'll say colorful, background. But for those who, I guess, may be living under a rock and don't know your story or history, share with us what that's been like for you.
Mate, I came from the wrong side of the tracks, as they probably say, and paid for it early, really. Back in the 70s, I was, brought up in a pretty predictable Western suburbs family. My dad was a hardworking truck driver. My mum had left us when I was 6, and my grandmother was the person really, forced to sort of look after us because no one else really could. And, I learned the hard way about life when I was really young. And I got really angry about that and really resentful towards my family. And so, about 14 years of age, I decided I was going to go and take care of myself. So I left home. I got a special exemption to leave school. I wasn't doing any good anyway. I had my own desk outside the classroom. They said it was because I was special, and I thought I was special, but it was the wrong special. Keep me out of trouble and keep me away from the kids. So, it was early on I got the message that I was no good. I wasn't going to amount to anything, and I might as well just shit my life up against the wall, and that so be it. So anyway, off I went at 14 into the big wide world and ended up living in a pub as a 15-year-old. And that's just a recipe for disaster, mate. You're 15, you're loose as anything. You're drinking already. You've already tried, small drugs. And then you're around bikers and drug dealers and prostitutes and, criminals and hard, tough adults. And you're a 15-year-old trying to fit in. So I ended up succumbing to the hard drug lifestyle. I was a heroin addict by the time I was 16. I was carrying a sawn-off shotgun around in duffel bags, doing armed hold-ups in Sydney to get money for my drugs. I was making my girlfriends at the time work as prostitutes because my habit was so ravaging at that point in time. And life was going nowhere fast as a 16, 17-year-old. I became homeless, obviously unemployable, done some time in and out of juvenile detention centres, etc. And I became suicidal, so my mental health was getting knocked around as well. What happened for me though was one day I woke up in a dimly lit room. I didn't know where the hell I was or what was going on. I didn't know what had happened. I went to get up and I looked around and I could see all these leads being attached to me somehow. And I freaked out and tried to jump out of the bed. And as I jumped out of my bed, my hands got yanked back and I realized that I was handcuffed to the bed. And straight away I thought, geez, I've lost a kidney. Someone's kidnapped me and taking me overseas, and I'm on Banged Up Abroad or some TV show. But I freaked out. And anyway, as I did that and made some noise, two police officers came in and held me down and until I went back into an unconscious state. And what had happened was I'd been found in a local park back in 1984 in Sydney, and I'd overdosed on heroin and nearly died. If they didn't find me that morning after 10 hours in the toilet block, I wouldn't be here talking to you. So that's the sort of the first miracle that happened. And I was put in intensive care under police guard, and I wasn't looking too good. I wasn't going to make it. The worst thing out of the whole thing was my girlfriend the night before overdosed as well, but she didn't make it. She died from the heroin overdose. And I was under police care because I was being charged with manslaughter and facing 8 years in prison. So as a 17-year-old guy to nearly kill himself through a heroin overdose, lose his girlfriend right next to him without me even knowing that it happened, it was so, crazy that night. And to be facing 8 years in prison for a manslaughter charge was quite a big shock. I was in hospital for a number of weeks, had a few operations, came good, obviously, got put in Long Bay Prison down in Sydney to await trial for the manslaughter charge, got $10,000 bail, went to court a couple of years later on the charge in front of a jury for about 5 days and got found not guilty. And all the evidence showed that it wasn't my fault. And so that sort of chapter of my life had closed because there was no way I was going back to drugs and alcohol and crime. There's no way I was going back to that lifestyle. I had to figure out what to do next. And, I landed with a good Christian family and I had a lot of support around me, and that got me back on my feet. And then I spent, to be honest, the next 20 years in limbo. I didn't have any education. I didn't have any skills that I thought I had. I just got menial paid jobs. That's all I could sort of get at the time. And for 20 years, I just sort of went through the motions. What I did realize, mate, is that I was still angry and I was still, pissed off, and I was still blaming the world, and I was still making excuses about life, and I was still playing the poor me victim. And, that was getting me nowhere. Got married, ended up getting divorced because I was, not taking responsibility for my actions. And I was a shit dad as well at the time. And so that 20 years sort of went past in a blur and, really got me nowhere until I made a decision to go back to King's Cross and become a youth worker. And I thought, maybe I can go and help kids that were like me. And it really fitted like a glove. I went back into King's Cross and became a youth worker and run youth programs and drug and alcohol programs. And it was really good. And one morning when I was doing a night shift in there, it was about 3 a.m., Tony Robbins came on the television. Now, I'd never done any personal development. I didn't know who Tony Robbins was. I never wasn't a reader. I didn't listen to tapes back then. I didn't go to seminars. I was just going through the motions and, thinking, how do I, get through every day, really. And then he comes on telling me about, have you got a life? Have you got goals? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Are you wasting? You know what Tony Robbins is like. He's straight down the barrel of the camera. And it knocked me off the lounge onto the floor. And I said, what the hell is this? And who is this guy? Anyway, he's doing one of his 3-day unleash the power within type of deals. And I went along. And at about 38, 39 years of age, after going through what I did as a teenager, going through the wilderness for 20 years or so, and really ending up looking at being a nobody in my own mind in my life, Tony Robbins opened the door to what was possible and a new road towards personal development, which I embraced as much as I could. At the time, I was doing the youth work, but it was tough because we were finding kids who would overdose and die in our centre. And so, I was thinking I'm getting paid $12 an hour to find dead kids. Maybe there's more. And it's a funny story, but I got a job as an aerobics instructor. I heard they I heard they paid $40 an hour to wear lycra and dance in front of women. And I thought, man, I can wear lycra and I can dance in front of women if it's going to pay me $40 an hour. So I did that. And then I found out personal trainers made $80 an hour and all they did was count and point at machines. And I thought, geez, I can do that as well. So I became a personal trainer. And that was the second shift because I started training successful people like yourself and great big business owners who are running $1 million organizations. And they started going, mate, what are you doing with your life? What are you just wasting away? You're doing nothing. And so they started to make me accountable for what I was doing with my personal development stuff that I was learning from Tony Robbins and other books and tapes and stuff that I was listening to. And they really got in my ear about, my destiny. And they really got in my ear about potential. And they really got in my ear about being accountable and making something in your life. And that just sort of took me up another level. And I started running team building programs and leadership training. I had no qualifications. I just made the shit up as I went along and just got myself in the companies, and that's where I learned. I cut my teeth on learning it myself. Did a few courses, went to uni for a year and did sociology and psychology and jumped out of that. That was a waste of time, I thought. But I was making it up as I go along, but I was learning. I was getting the critical skills that I needed to become my own coach, which is eventually become a life coach. And then in 1989, 1990, 2000, 2010, maybe 2011, all that time later, I stumbled into real estate. I had my own mentors. I was paying $50,000, $60,000 a year for my own mentors and coaches. And they said, mate, you got to find an industry that you can sort of, lay your hat and do some good work in. Real estate was it. I thought, all right, I'll give this a go. And I thought, what are the gaps? And there wasn't a gap in skills training. I mean, we're the most heavily skills training organization in the world, I reckon. And we've got some amazing people, that do incredible stuff. And I thought, well, I can't do that. I'm not an agent. I've never been one. What can I do? And the gap was mindset. The gap was high performance. The gap was emotional intelligence. The gap was productivity. We had a whole lot of skill set training and marketing and, socials that was just coming in then, but there was nothing in the mindset space. And so I jumped into that and tried to fill that gap as quick as possible. Spent 6 months on my ex's couch getting knocked back and finally got some breakthroughs and did some JVs. And, my mantra is keep moving forward. So it was always, just another step, another step, another step. And now looking back 12, nearly 13 years later, it's probably the best move that I've ever made. Some amazing people like yourself in the industry. It's a giving industry. I've grown more as a human because of this industry and the people in it. And it's still growing. The business is still growing and it's organically sort of, grown business. I've got a great staple of, very important people that I've been working with for a number of years. I've had the fortune of coaching 5 top number one agents in particular brands over the last 13 years. So all the things I wanted to do and achieve in the industry, I've pretty much done for myself, and it's provided and afforded a lifestyle that I'm fucking extremely grateful for, mate, and so humble about, because without it, I don't know what would have happened. It was a little bit bumpy early on in the mid 2000s, sorry, a little bit bumpy. Got the addiction started to rise up again, and I had to make some big decisions and make some big changes. But real estate was, forgiving, and it was, embracing, and it was supportive, and I was able to reach out to a few people who had my back and wanted the best for me, and I got over that with flying colours, and life hasn't been better, mate. So I call it from the streets to the boardrooms, and I'm
Well,
extremely grateful that this, dumb kid from the western suburbs who nearly killed himself got another chance to, do something that I hope makes a difference, mate, and I hope helps people change their life like the people that helped me change my life.
absolutely incredible, Jet. Absolutely incredible. So true. And looking at the different, I guess, stages and journeys and also environments that you've been through, and how each different, what I'm hearing, each different stage and each different environment has taken a piece where you've now applied into what you do and how you change so many people's lives for the betterment. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Talk to me about the power of the environment and the impact that that can have on people. What's your view on around that?
Well, it's the biggest one, isn't it? What is it? The total sum of the five people you hang around with, that say. I mean, it's a giveaway. It's a cliche as it is in our industry, but it's so true. I mean, look at my life. You know, I was hanging around losers and I nearly lost my life. I was hanging around no one in the middle part of my life, and it was just going through the motions. I didn't have anyone to inspire me. And then I met people. I was introduced to people like Tony Robbins, and then I met people who were building successful lives and who were authentic and who, you know, were able to forget about what happened in the past, but focus on what, you know, needed to happen in the future. And I learned the cliches. It doesn't matter what happens to you, it's what you do about it that matters. And, you know, don't be bitter, get better, and, you know, all those things. And, you know, once I got around that type of thing, it changed the way I thought. And we can talk about neuroscience all day and how that can change the way you think and therefore change behavior. And that's exactly what happened to me. Cognitive behavior therapy, which was really a staple for 15 or so years and still is in many cases, is what changed me from a paranoid, angry, resentful, frustrated, judgmental human into someone who's almost passive, you know, zen-like, humble, tries to give, makes mistakes, has a bit of ego sometimes still, but is chalk and cheese. Two different people. And that came from being around different people. And I still do it as you do to this day, even though I have a level of success in my own life that I have built that I'm happy with. I still get around people who are smarter than me, more successful than me, and want me to succeed and want me to do the best with my life. So it's critical. And, you know, I think if you're not paying for a coach, find a coach who'll do it for free. Because without that insight, you're not going to go to the next level. You don't want to be that smartest person in the room. And, you know, I look for people now. I've got a group of people around me, my team that I rely on and lean on. And I can tell you, man, the life and the decisions I make now versus the ones where I was just solo by myself, isolated in my own head, totally different life, mate.
1,000%, totally different. Now, let's talk high performance. If
Yeah.
someone's listening here and they're wanting to step into that high performance room, they're feeling stuck, they're spinning their wheels. What is two questions? Is what is high performance for you? And then what would be some suggestions that you could share with the audience, with the listeners on how to actually start to move towards being that high performance agent? Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that between with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90, so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show.
Yeah, so high performance is what does success look like to you? Yeah. So I'm performing at my highest, or I'm in my highest performance lane when I'm executing, implementing, and doing what I need to do to be the best that I can be. And so if I've got high energy, if I'm on purpose, if I have a high level of integrity, and if I'm contributing, that's EPIC. The acronym for is EPIC. That is high performance for me. So I've worked out when am I at my best, so that I can execute and implement and have the impact that I want to have. And it's where my energy's high, I'm on purpose, I have integrity, so I do what I said I was going to do, and I'm making a contribution. When those four things, EPIC is ticked, I'm knocking it out of the park. When one of those is not working or two, well, then I'm not performing at my best, so I don't have my high performance. The other thing is, James, is that people make the mistake of going, okay, well, I'm stuck, or why am I stuck? And what do I need to do about it? All right, well, I'm stuck with let's say I'm stuck with my calls. Okay, I'm not making enough calls. What do I need to do about it? Well, I need to make a list. I need to make more calls. I need to find more people to read. I need to get James to have a chat to me and fire me up. And then I go again. The problem with that is it doesn't work. It's willpower. And it's not going to get you anywhere. It might for those that have got a strong willpower, but they wouldn't be in that situation to start with. So those that are getting stuck and just getting on that horse again and trying again and falling off, you just end up going in the loop, which then creates more mental health issues and problems and more feelings about how you feel about yourself. And you're just doing the loop, and what I call the loop. What we need to do is go underneath that and what is causing that stuckness to start with. Yeah. What's causing you not making the calls? What's causing you not getting to the gym? What's causing you not to show up in your relationship? You know, it's no good being in a relationship going, I'm sorry, hon, I'll try better. I won't do it tomorrow. And then you go away, you come back again and you try not to get angry, but you get angry. And then you go, oh, I'll try again and I won't get angry. And then you get on the loop. And there's loops all through our life every day. It's the experience and conditioning under the loop that we need to identify through self-awareness and then create a roadmap or a pathway to deal with that issue, yeah? So that we don't have to keep getting on the horse and falling off. Because if we don't deal with the conditioning and experience, so it's like, if I give you a relationship example, I used to feel that my partner wasn't trusting me. All my issues. So the first thing that I did was go, hang on, just trust her. Just trust her and just get back on the horse and do it again. But I couldn't just trust her. It didn't work. I kept thinking I can't trust her. And I could, but in my head, I couldn't. And it wasn't until I looked at, well, what's underneath that? What's triggering that? And it was abandonment. I'm thinking, she's going to abandon me. And so rather than getting back on the horse and just trusting, now I'm going, how do I fix this abandonment shit? And so I went to a psychiatrist, I went to a counselor, I did a lot of reading, I listened to a lot of podcasts, and that helped me deal with that. So the next time it happens, I go, I know what this is about, I know where this is coming from. And you can apply this principle or this practice, and it's a cognitive behavior practice, to anything that we do if we want to change behavior. So whether we're stuck, we're surviving, we're going through the motions, we're fearful, we're procrastinating, it's no good just going, well, I know what to do, and if I just do it, that's going to solve the problem. It's not. It's not going to do it. We have to go, hang on a second, let's critically, and this is where people miss the point about personal development. Personal development is personal development. It's not practical application development. And we mix personal development with practical application development up, and we get on the loop in this one rather than go, hang on, what is it personally about me that's getting in the way here? I did a great session about this around self-awareness with the Brian group a couple of weeks ago. And to prove my point, when asked the question, how many people work on this as part of their performance metrics, pretty much nobody. And it wasn't just them, it's most people that I talk to, because we're not taught that that's where the answer lies. What we're taught is get your list together, get fired up, have another crack at it, and see how you can go. I don't know what's your experience with that, because you deal with that a lot as well.
1000%, mate. And I was just reading a great book just the other day, is Hidden Potential. And they're talking about a study in that book of 1,500 business owners, and they put them into three groups: a control group, a group that just focus on the hard skills like finance, marketing, finance, and so forth, and then the self-awareness skills around determination, discipline, and so forth. And they found just within 5 days that those working on themselves around those soft skills, those discipline, determination, increased their profitability within their business by 30% over 2 years.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? Compared to this, so it's like, as you said, where are the metrics within businesses? It just makes it's so important. And
It's just like the emotional intelligence movement, you know, when Goldman brought out the book around emotional intelligence, and it was all IQ, and the IQ wasn't helping managers or leaders run effective teams, and they realized, well, hang on a second, this is a soft skill issue. This is an internal mechanism and an emotional intelligence that people do or don't have, and that if they're going to run organizations at that scale, they need to have it. And you know, that's sort of like one of the doors that opened, the same as Seligman and learned optimism. You know,
1000%.
Same as the Eckhart Tolle stuff around gratitude now. I mean, gratitude's a drug. You know, you want to stop being frustrated, just be grateful, and you'll stop being frustrated straight away.
So true, mate. So true. Like
I think that's a gap. I think that's a gap in for high performance.
1000%. 1000%.
perform better if we sort of start to look at the root, I guess the root cause
Root
of
cause.
why we do what we do or why we sabotage what we're sabotaging. And it doesn't mean that leaders, and I guess leaders shy away from this type of conversation because they feel like, geez, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not that type of coach. I don't know how to do that. But it doesn't excuse us from, not doing it. We have to find a way to get it done. And it makes sense, like you said, with the research you talked about and what you said before that around profitability. The bottom line just increases. So, like,
Yep.
it's a no-brainer, and that's the cool thing about what's happening in that space as well now. There's
So
become,
true. You talked about mental health, and I know that mental health has seen a massive shift and change within the real estate industry over the years, and which then moving to wellness is, one of your jams, which you're an amazing facilitator and you're an amazing trainer and a coach in, and also your partner. And I know that you've just come back from an amazing trip up in Cairns when you did some amazing wellness camp there.
yeah.
Tell us about the impact around wellness within the real estate industry and how people can actually lean into more incorporating wellness within their own personal
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, so to take it back a little bit, 2017, after a number of years in the business working with leaders, I realized that a lot of people that came and worked with me were men over 40 who created a measure of success, but they just didn't have all the parts in the right place and they were sort of
Mm.
paying the price for it. And so I went sort of searching around wellness and well-being for the industry, and I found nothing. And so that started the Revive Project. And the Revive Project run 2-day events with neuroscientists and stress expert and yoga on the beach and a whole range of things. So it was the first time the industry had done something like that. And as part of the Revive Project, I created the first research in wellness and well-being in the industry as well. And so Sarah Bell, who really was a champion by my side to help me develop that research, we set off over 3 or 4 years to bring out 2 white papers for the industry that sort of put us on the map as far as the research around what's happening, which was really good for the industry to be able to sort of look at and go, okay, well, where do we go from here? And what they've done is they've created the Rise Initiative and the Rise app, and I'd encourage people to get onto the Rise app and the Rise Initiative and the Rise Leadership conferences because they're amazing initiatives that Macquarie Bank and Domain are sponsoring to get the wellness and wellbeing on the map and actually active in our industry to help people. They run webinars, seminars, conferences, etc. So Rise Initiative, I think .com.au, get onto that. But that research really sort of put at the center and highlighted what the big issues were: overworking, not time with the family, not being able to switch off, anxiety, stress. So it took like 60% of the working population. And from there, it was like, okay, well then, if that's the research, if this initiative has started, what can I sort of do to play my role? So I thought I'll do something practical. So I brought out a book called Champions Cry 2. And I think Champions Cry 2, TOO, championscry2.com.au. And it's a book of 12 stories of people in the industry who we look at and go, wow, they're amazing. They're incredible humans in this industry. They're very successful at what they've done. But the backstory is incredibly amazing and empowering. Tom Carlin, for example, trying to kill himself under a table because he just wanted to end his life. Other people, pulling over to the side of the road in fits of anxiety. And these are number one agents in particular brands at the time as well. And so I thought I got to get people that people look at and think, well, that's where I want to be and what I want to do, because that's the bee's knees of success. And I want people who've been through something that was really challenging, that would get people to think, oh, wow, okay, it happens to all of us and it's not weak to speak and we can speak up and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing I did was bring that book out and, get that out into the industry. The second thing I did was sort of handball the research to the Rise Initiative so it can be taken up another level and just really, get the research on a really big global platform as well. So that will continue the longevity of it. And the third thing was creating my own programs around wellness and wellbeing. And the Cairns thing was, a 1-day retreat that an office took offsite, and we had yoga. I got to work with my partner. We did visualizations. We did games. It was very interactive. We had sharing stuff. We let go of shit. We did an exercise called What's in Your Backpack, and personal development and expression. So I get to run programs like that outside of the mindset and high performance programs that I do now. And I think what's happening in the industry, James, is good leaders, smart leaders are starting to realize that this is the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need wellness and well-being only because it's not good for, our team suffering, but it's actually good for retention. It's good for recruitment. It's good for productivity. It's good for environmental psychology. It's good for a whole lot of other reasons outside of helping humans be their best at the same time. And so what's happening in our industry is we're bringing both together, where the smart leaders are bringing wellness and well-being because they know it's great for good humans and it's the best thing to do for them to get the best out of them, but it's good from a business sense as well. And so the old conversation of, oh, we don't need that, toughen up, harden up, I think in some quarters, not all in our industry, is starting to change. And the more people that get on the bandwagon of wellness and well-being, the more better our industry will be and healthier, and the more profitable people will be. I remember doing the Revive project and trying to get funding for it and approaching really big leaders. You'd be surprised who they were in the industry for
Can
money,
imagine.
and them just going, piss off, mate. What bullshit is this?
You
What
know
sort of
what?
bullshit? And I understood it because part of their resistance was because they thought, well, that's not our role. Like now we're going to get dragged into people's lives and what their drama is, and people are going to, exaggerate and abuse the right and the privilege and all that. So I said, no, that's not what happens. Some people might do that. But you got to think in the big picture. But what's happening, I think now, because of Rise in particular, and Chris Hanley and John Cunningham and Sarah and a whole lot of people that are running that sort of beautiful organization, it's becoming understood, and it's becoming recognized, and it has credibility. And so the smart leaders are leaning in now and going, all right, tell me more. How can this help? I mean, I just got off a call this morning with a big group about doing their PM well-being and wellness stuff, and doing mental toughness, because PM, they get belted to pillar to post most of the time. So we're slowly getting there with the wellness and well-being stuff.
That's so good. That's
And,
so
and I
good.
live and breathe it myself, as you do.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It once you do it, you can then draw upon your own
Yeah.
experiences as well,
Yeah.
and to share those stories. Now,
Yeah.
if you were to, I guess, give one or two pieces of a strategy or advice to those who, are going well in the career, but maybe having the wheels falling off in some of the other areas of their life, and you shared a strategy about getting to the calls, is there anything else that you could share with the listeners, with the audience around, what, my relationship really sucks right now, or, my health is fallen over right now, but I'm really, really in the zone with work.
Yeah.
What would you say? How would you suggest? What assistance could you give the listener around that?
So if I'm working with someone, I'm really big on self-awareness. Massively big. So I will do what I call illumination processes. It's like if most people are like they're living in a dark room bumping into furniture. And you know what it feels like when you bump into furniture? It bloody hurts. But you
Particularly
can't
the
see where,
toes.
yeah, you kick your toes, you hit your shins, you hit your knees, but you can't see where it is. And that's like a lot of the problems that we have that hold us back. Or why we don't do things, or why we sabotage stuff. And so I try to take people through a process. Let's just light the candle and have a bit of a look in the room, and we can start to see what's going on. And then let's sort of get a torch and sort of shine it on some particular things that you sort of keep crashing into. And then let's eventually get to the light and turn it on. And so we've got a really clear view of what's going on. And then we can analyze the issue. Most of the people don't know why they do those things, or why they're in that situation, or why they're, things are going great at work, but I just feel shit, I'm just dragging my ass around. They don't understand they know something's wrong. They have a sneaking suspicion what it is, but they don't categorically understand succinctly what it actually is. And so the illumination process is trying to highlight that. And once you can highlight some of those issues, we can do analysis. And I love psychometric profiling. I do it all the time. Emotional intelligence, personality, behavior types, leadership, management. I'm a psychometric profiling junkie, mental toughness, because that gives us data pretty quickly. So we've illuminated what the potential sort of issues are. We're looking for what the data tells us. We're putting that together. And then we're trying to fish almost the blind spots. If we can find the blind spots, then we're sort of halfway there. Because what the blind spots give us with the analysis and with the illumination is insight.
Yep.
Once we have insight, we know what the target is then. Yeah. And so I spend a fair bit of time getting that process happening so we can really understand, one, what the target is that's causing us the issue and holding us back or contributing to that behavior. And two, getting you to understand you more and how you operate more. Yeah. A lot of the times we're just automated. We're going through the motions, and within real estate in particular, it's a high expectation, high pressure type of business. So we almost don't have time to stop and think sometimes, let alone sit down, put some pen to paper and start to sort of open up and journal about who we are and how we operate and why we do the things we do and why we think we do the things we do. But that process is liberating. It creates a revolution, because now what happens is we get back into control and we have a sense of, okay, I can overcome this. I can get through this. I mean, I've had a lot of guys come to me with alcohol problems, with addiction problems. These are $1 million riders, exactly in the same vein that you're talking about. They go, man, my family's falling apart. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't get my shit together. It's awful. Okay, let's have a look at what's going on. And if they need to go to a counsellor, I'll push them off to a counsellor or a psychotherapist or whatever, or a DNA counsellor, etc. But we've got to go through that process of getting to the heart of why you're doing this in the first place. And once we do that, we're armed with an arsenal of opportunities to change the behavior and to use, there's so many modalities around. I don't use one sort of generic script when I work with anyone. It's always who are you? Where are you at in life? What's going on? What do you think is contributing to it? You're happy to open the door and have a look inside. Because that's the greatest thing anybody can do when it comes to changing our lives. It's looking inside. Yeah.
So
What
true.
most of us do is look out here. It's whose fault is it? Who can I make
Yeah.
excuses with? Who can I blame? Rather than looking in. But once you look in and you get that torch in there, you get that illumination happening, you get the analysis going, you understand how to track down blind spots that they can't see. And it's like the boxing coach, mate. He sits in the corner and he watches, comes back in after the round and goes, mate, you should have ducked.
Yeah. That's right.
You should have jabbed. And we take the insights that we've learned from those three things that I just mentioned, and we start to apply them. And we apply them in real time. So when I coach, Zoom one-to-one, and then we have another session in a month's time. But it's in between sessions where the work happens, because Joey might ring up and go, oh man, I've slipped off the rails. I've really got angry and frustrated. The client's giving me the shits. I've lost the plot. I've wasted half a day. It's in that 5 minutes that we can do the work based on the analysis and the illumination, etc., that we've done before it. Long-winded explanation.
No, it's love it. Love
But
it.
once applied, it's very, very powerful. And again, it's something that I've used myself to bring me out of the shit that I was in, that brings me at least to some semblance of clarity and understanding about what's important in life and how to change a life.
Love it. Fantastic. Jet, on the show, we have a 60-second quiz to find out more about our guests. You willing to play?
Fire away.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Love it. What's your favorite movie?
Rocky.
What number?
Number one. There's only one Rocky movie, and it's number one.
Favorite food?
I've run the stairs in Philadelphia.
So good.
I've got the picture. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Mango.
Favorite holiday destination?
Anywhere with a beach and mountains and amazing bushwalks.
So good. What's your morning routine?
Mate, at the moment, it's sleep in. Well, it's sleep in compared to what I used to do. I've got an Aura ring. I'm really into my biohacking at the moment, like most people are. I've had my genes tested in the States, and I'm sitting down with an expert going through my genes. I've done my microbiome. I've done my blood work, done my poo samples. I do my shower. So, yeah. So at the moment, it's sleeping in till I feel that, yeah, I'm recharged and I've got that sort of rest. Then I'll get up, I'll have the cold shower, which isn't too cold in Gold Coast, but it's still cold enough. And then I'll either go to the gym or I'll get stuck into some work, have a protein shake, and get the day started, mate. So
fantastic. What about an evening routine?
Evening routine, try and get the sleep right. Yeah, try and not eat too late. Try and bring bring the light down a little bit, try and calm my mind a little bit, spend some time with my partner as well. We get into bed pretty early, 7:30, 8 o'clock most nights. So it's a pretty sort of calm, bring the chill down routine.
Nice. Do you have a most embarrassing moment?
Yeah, I used to be a professional singer, and we used to travel around Australia playing mainly in high schools a lot. So you get a couple of hundred kids in a regional town in a high school. It was amazing, rock star stuff. And one night I run out onto the stage and doing my big strut and, doing the big power pose as a singer. And my wife sort of made her way up to the front of the stage. Everyone's standing up going crazy. And she's sort of pointing at me. And I'm just thinking, oh, yeah, I'm rocking out. I'm going great. And a lot of hip thrust and put the leg up on the sound thing. And away I go. And she kept pointing at me for about a couple of minutes. And I sort of glanced down and I had these sort of big baggy open jeans on and the zip was right open and everything was dangling everywhere. And I think by memory it was a girls' school, unfortunately, and it was highly embarrassing because I thought, oh my God, that's going to get taken the wrong way or something's going to happen. And we were doing it through a Christian organization as well, which made it more interesting. But yeah, that's I've had many. And can I share another one from a lot
Yeah, go for it.
one of a more personal, and hopefully this will help some people out there listening. One of my most personal embarrassing moments is after a good friend came up to me at an event and said, "Mate, I don't know what you said last night or did, but it was bad form." This is when I had an alcohol problem a number of years ago. He said it was bad form, mate, and that's not on. And so that was embarrassing that my friend had to tell me that. It was good that he did, because that was a big shift for me in my world. But it was highly embarrassing, hearing that from a friend that you respected and, really loved. Yeah, so that was another embarrassment. I've had plenty, mate.
Of course. No, it's really nice that he could do it and you could take that on. If you could choose 5 inspirational people to have dinner with, they could be dead or alive, who would they be?
And I wrote this down because I thought that's a great question. I've heard a lot and never thought about it. And I thought, who would I sit down with? And Aung San Suu Kyi from Myanmar is probably one of the ladies that I sit down with, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, under house arrest for pretty much most of life, 78 now, looking at facing another 27 years under house arrest. Incredible human. Stephen Hawking's. I get Buddha, Muhammad, and Jesus around the table. I get Cleopatra and Joan of Arc, and I throw Elon Musk in there.
Love it.
And the only other, and I don't know if it's a person, but I get somebody from way back at the start of time. I was going to say Adam and Eve, but someone in the first 100 or so years. I get someone from there to come back and just have a little chat with the people that I've invited as well.
Fantastic. Do you have a biggest regret?
Mate, my biggest regret was going and scoring heroin that night with my girlfriend.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
biggest. And to add to it, I'd add her to that dinner list as well.
Sure.
But that's my biggest regret. Yeah, doing that night. If that didn't happen, well, there's 2 ways to look at it, mate. People say, well, it happened for a reason, and look at your life now. But nothing people that have lost people and grieved, nothing can fill that hole, mate. And it's thinking, well, if it didn't happen, my life would have maybe went to nothing, and I just wouldn't be here. It did happen because so it's, my gut still aches.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Totally understand. If you were Prime Minister for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
One thing I changed. Well, the bloody rates in the Gold Coast are fucking expensive, mate.
It's right.
I changed the distribution of the wealth. Yeah, not through the people that have it and don't have it, but through how the government spends it. I changed that. I think there's a lot of wasted money, and it's just they get away with it. It's just bullshit.
Yeah, very true. Very
I think
true.
we can do more with the money that we give in our taxes to help more people in a better way.
Yeah, great. What's your best piece of advice?
Keep moving forwards. Yeah,
Love it.
I've got a massive elephant on the wall out here, and it just says keep moving forwards. That's my mantra. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. All the old good solid gold cliches, mate.
So good, so good. So how can the audience find out and follow you, reach out, get in contact? What's the best way?
On Insta, Jet Xavier. That's the best way to follow all the stuff I put out. But if you want to catch up for a free high performance consultation or exploration session, half an hour for free, go to jetxavier.com. I'd be happy to book you in and have a chat and see how I can help.
Awesome, Jet, mate. We could be speaking for hours. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you for everything that you do for the industry. You're a legend. You're a
Thanks,
mover.
mate.
You're a shaker. Really appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.